We may be getting a call right now.
Nice ring.
Hello, who do we have on the phone?
This is Ted DiBiase Sr.
Oh! To the Wiseguyz show, we got Senior.
$1 million man.
Oh, the $1 million, correct. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here,
okay.
man.
All right. First, I want to say thank you so much for calling. I want to thank Gary Demers for making this happen. But I want to start off and tell you, we were at your premiere of Price of Fame, and we were at one of the theaters with Peter Ferrero.
Pete Fierro, yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you, we went to the premiere. We're friends of his. He was on our show. We promoted it. It was a great time, and it was a great documentary, I got to tell you.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. It was, that was pretty much, it was Pete's idea, and I have to go. My son had a lot to do with it as well. But Pete, he came to me and he said, you've written about your story. You share your story as a minister all the time. He said, I'd like to tell your story on film, and so that's how it started. And I've had a lot of compliments on it. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I want to start off with telling you, I remember as a child watching you grow as a wrestler. When we were kids growing up, I got to say around 10 years old, leaving the baseball field, coming home, stopping at the magazine store and picking up the latest copy of the wrestling magazine. Back then they had all the everybody was rated as the most hated and the most liked and most popular, and I got to tell you, I grew up with you, and I can't tell you how much of an honor it is not only to have been part of promoting your documentary, but just to have you on the phone right now and interviewing you. It really is an honor.
Well, thank you guys so much, and thanks for having us on. Yeah, that's great.
Now, real quick, I want to just start off with asking you one question. Do you miss wrestling?
I wrestled for so long. I mean, wrestling was a part of my entire life. Mike DiBiase was actually my stepfather. Married my mother when I was 5 years old, and they met because my mother was also a lady wrestler.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people don't know that. And but anyway, Mike was in my life. I had him for 10 years from the age of 5 to 15 when he had a heart attack and died. But went to college on a football scholarship, 3 years in. The summer between my junior and senior year, I came down to what they call Mid-South Wrestling in the area where I actually live now, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma, big territory. And that's when I started. And I did so well that summer, I didn't go back to school. I had one more year of football, one more year of school. I'd had a degree in education. And like an idiot, I just kept going. But by the grace of God, I didn't need it. But my love has always been the wrestling business. And with that said, the reason I didn't want my boys to be wrestlers is the same reason my dad didn't want me to be wrestlers. It's not about the wrestling. It's about the lifestyle that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And all of that.
That's what that was all that part in your documentary. You showed it all.
Exactly. And so I loved it. I had a great career. The only time I miss it is if I'm watching like a young guy, a new guy, and I see the talent in him. And I recognize, it's like we call it the it factor, and it's charisma. You can't give anybody charisma. They either have it or they don't. And the ones that you find that they do, there's a few times when I say, man, I wish I could get in the ring with that guy and help him out a little bit and show him something. But other than that, no, I don't miss it. I don't miss the travel. Although I still travel, but I don't travel nearly like I used to.
So this is Jumpin' Gennaro here at the table, and wonderful to get a chance to talk to you. I actually was with Freddie and Annette and a few of us when we came to see the documentary. But, of course, growing up as a kid, I'd tune in, and certainly you were one that I remembered because of your your persona. You're obviously you were very entertaining. You were entertaining to watch. The question I have for you is that now you made a very interesting point, because I do remember a lot of the documentary, and I was very fascinated with the fact that you, by faith, finally channeled in and understood what was really, truly more important than anything else. Once you were humbled, it was your family, and that's what you really fought for to reconnect with, is your family. So that was very honorable. But the question is, now when you look back and you think about how it all started, was it a combination of everything coming too fast for you, as far as the popularity and the money, everything that kind of brought you down that lane, or was it that you kind of early in life just got a lot of attention, being that your stepfather and your mother were wrestlers?
Well, it's one of those things. It's common in wrestling. It's common. I mean, in basically, I would say any form of entertainment. You hear stories about movie stars, you hear stories about rock stars, but when I went to the WWF, as it was known then,
Yeah.
and Vince McMahon gives me this just unbelievable opportunity and says, we're going to make the public, we're going to try to make the public believe you're really this guy. I said, how are you going to do that? He says, well, you're going to travel everywhere in first class. You'll have limousine service at every city, from the airport to hotel to Coliseum, back to hotel, back to airport. Wherever the public sees you, they will see the appearance of wealth. And you're going to be one of our top stars, and you're going to be making probably more money than you've ever made in wrestling. And so, yeah, I would say to some degree that had a lot to do with it, because it was just, not to mention the fact that, when I was wrestling regionally, I was gone a lot. That's part of it, but I wasn't gone 3 weeks at a time. I wasn't away from my home or my family for 3 solid weeks, 21 days. And then I would, back then when I first started, we'd do 21 days, go home for a week. In reality, you were only home 5 full days, because the first day of your day off, you're traveling to get home. And the last day of your your week off is traveling back to work. And so in reality, we were only off like 5 days a month.
Wow.
And so when you put a guy in that situation, and then the limousine service and all that goes along with that, it's like, and I've had a lot of friends of mine that are very strong Christians say to me, they said, Ted, I don't know anybody that would be put in your situation that wouldn't have trouble with that. And, and by the grace of God, I had a wife who was willing to give me a second chance.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She's the hero.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, let's give her.
She really is. She's the hero, because, and I honestly thought, when it all came to light and I was caught, I thought, this is it. I'm done. I've lost the greatest thing that I've ever had, and I don't deserve her. Yeah. And, but by the grace of God and her willingness to give me that second chance. But she told me, she said, look, she goes, you don't deserve it. And she goes, and I'm not really doing it for you. She goes, I'm doing it because I don't want to be out of fellowship with my God.
Right.
And my God says, forgive as you've been forgiven. So, but I took the ball and ran with it. And now this coming New Year's Eve, Melanie and I will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary.
Beautiful.
Congratulations.
And
God bless.
we couldn't be happier.
Can we give you a not so?
We have a saying on our show. It's called a not so.
Can we give you a not so? All together. Uno, due, tre, hot so!
I love it. Yeah.
But I want to ask you. You became a minister. Did this all take place and warm your heart up enough to say, hey, look, I could go out there and be someone and help others or even other wrestlers to understand and a different and look at things a different way.
You know, it's a it wasn't something that happened overnight. It's like 1992 is when all the poop hit the fan and I was exposed, and Melanie and I went through our ordeal, and the ordeal, I would say, in reality, although she had forgiven me and she said, I'm going to give you another chance, and I took the ball and I ran with it, and I told her, I said, give me this chance and I'll become the man you thought you married, a man of strong character and integrity, and God willing, regain your trust and respect. And I would say it was probably a good 2 years for to I came to a point where I thought it's not mentioned anymore. She's over it. And so for me being on the road though, and a good friend of mine, I talk about him all the time, Al Santos. He said, Ted, he says, there's going to be a lot of pastors here about you getting saved, and with all the right and best intentions, they're going to want you to come tell your story. He said, but you're a baby Christian, and you know what babies do? And I go, what's that, Hal? I said, sometimes they poop their pants. And I said, yeah, okay, I get it. I get it. Give myself time to grow. And he said, yep. And so it was in 94, maybe actually early 95, when I started going out on invitation and speaking in churches and sharing the story.
Nice.
And then became like a snowball rolling downhill. And then it was not until the year 2000 that I felt like God was really calling me to this. And that's when I stepped out of, and I stepped away from wrestling. It was the most exciting thing I ever did, and at the same time, it was the most frightening thing I ever did, because wrestling is something I was secure with. I knew that business. I could have a role in the wrestling business, whether I'm in the ring or out of the ring, even today. And I chose to go, okay, God, I'm going to put myself in your hands, and you open the doors. And that's been 20 years, going on 21 years.
Beautiful thing.
Well, to go over your whole career would take us days, because you are definitely not only a legend, you're an icon. And I got to throw out some names: Dory Funk, Terry Funk. I'm sure had a big part of bringing you, making you the wrestler that you were. One of them, anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the Funks are like family
Yeah.
to me. I mean, I've known the Funks since I was a little kid. I mean, I went to the 6th grade in Amarillo, Texas, and the relationship that my dad had with Dory Funk Sr. was just an unbelievable relationship. They had a great deal of respect for each other, because they were both tougher than nails, legitimately, and in the ring. I mean, they have the record. They had a 3-hour and 20-minute match. It was called a Texas Death Match, and it ended in a draw. It ended because the curfew. There was a curfew on the building, and they had to close down the building, so they had to stop the match.
You know what? Now, this is Jumpin' Gennaro again. I'm going to mention a name that I know everybody in the industry not only respected, but they all said that he was a mentor. So in a few words, if you, or should I say, if you have any story you could share with Bruno Sammartino.
Oh my gosh. The first time I met Bruno was when I came to New York. The first time I came to New York was in 1979. And I was just starting to, get a name out there. And I didn't stay long the first time, but I remember meeting Bruno and talking to Bruno, and he told me stories. He says, I knew your dad. He says that you should be proud. He says your dad was a good man. He says not just a great wrestler, but a world-class athlete at Nebraska. He said he was a legit guy. He was a good man, and he gave me a lot of great advice when I was young and just starting in the business. And I don't know where their paths crossed. I can't remember that, but yeah. And so and Bruno's another one of those guys. He's an icon. He's a guy who will go, and has gone down in history as probably, I mean, nobody's sold out the Madison Square Garden more than Bruno Sammartino.
So I want to, if I can, I just want to share a quick story about my grandfather. His name was Tommaso De Gennaro. He came in to Newcastle, Pennsylvania in the 1970s, and Bruno Sammartino was wrestling the Mongol brothers. So my father, my uncle, and my grandfather went to see it. Now, Bruno Sammartino, remember, was a legendary true wrestler in Italy. So when he saw him in the ring and the Mongol brothers jumped on him, my grandfather thought it was real. They were holding him back. He was trying to jump in the ring to stop Bruno Sammartino from jumping the Mongol brother. And he was ready to kill. Yeah, and so that's a story that's told in my family.
Well,
and so,
nice. Well, Mr. I'm going to call you Mr. DiBiase because I look at you as, like I said, a hero, an icon. I saw you. You're always a villain, though. You're always a bad guy. But after watching your documentary, I tell you, I looked at you as a whole different person, and I totally respect everything you did and how you changed your life. We have a gentleman in the studio who's a big internet star. He's also a guest on our Christmas show. His name is Shane Coyle, who also changed his life around and is doing amazing things right now. Shane.
Hey, Mr. DiBiase, how are you? Not only a fan, but also my son, who is 8 years old. You still live on as a legend to even 8-year-olds, my brother. My son is absolutely engulfed with you, man.
Well,
it's an honor.
Thank you so much. And I tell you, that amazes me that 8-year-olds
yes.
or that are fans. I mean, my gosh. I mean, I haven't haven't wrestled. I haven't had tights on since the end of 1993, I believe.
Wow.
And yet a lot of these youngsters, I guess it's the power of television and, going back and looking at all the old stuff because, man, some of these kids, I mean, that's gratifying.
It was the impact you left in their minds, left in their parents' minds, and their parents told about you, and now you are still a star to my 8-year-old son. So, Mr. DiBiase,
Wow.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for real.
Well, thank you very much. I wasn't always a bad guy. I mean, for when you first start out in the business, just the way the business is. There's two guys in the ring, and the bad guy, the heel, as we say, the heel in the ring is the guy calling the match. He makes everything happen, and you have to grow in your knowledge of the business to get to a place where you can be that guy. And when I finally made it, I guess the first time I became a heel, it was in Mid-South, and Junkyard Dog was actually my best friend and the best man at my wedding when I married him.
Wow.
And a lot of the fans knew that because it was very regional. So they would see us riding together and we were everywhere together. And then I turned on him, and that's when I became a heel. And oh boy, I'm telling you what.
I'm going to tell you right now. I got to thank you. Words can't describe how I feel right now just having this conversation. And I want to tell you, I would thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to wish you and your whole family we all here at the Wiseguyz Show want to wish you and your whole family a Merry Christmas. And your Junior's calling in that after you.
Yes.
Is there anything you could throw at us that we could maybe secretly tell him? Say something. Is there something we could throw at him that we don't know about that maybe?
No,
nobody knows.
Just tell him, say, your dad said you're a good kid, but I didn't show you everything.
Well, and we're going to see you in Sea Caucus. You're going to be there doing some autographs and some signings.
Actually, it's Sunday. I mean, I'm not flying in, I think, on Saturday. And then Sunday, December the 12th.
The 12th.
From 8:30 in the morning, it goes all the way to 4 p.m. I don't think I'm going to be all the way there at 4 p.m., but the Garden State Trading Card Show.
Yep.
And where is it?
Sea Caucus, New Jersey.
Caucus.
Yeah.
The Metal
It says it's at a La
Metal
Quinta
and
Inn and
Expo.
Suites.
Yep, La Quinta. Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll see you
So,
there.
yeah,
Some of us will see you there. Who can't make it, but we'll definitely come and say hello and grab an autograph or two. And I got to say, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this opportunity. And we're gonna push your price of fame, and well, maybe we'll get Peter Fierro back on the show, and we'll try to bring that back together because that's a great story, and I believe everybody should see that, especially if they're a wrestler.
Fellas, thank you so much. I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, a blessed Christmas, a Happy New Year, and yeah, to all my paisan out there. I love you.
Well, maybe one day we'll hopefully have you in the studio and we can you share our spread with you.
Here's what I tell everybody, guys, before I go. I said, you know what? I am not Italian by birth. I said, but I was raised by somebody who was full-blooded Italian, whose parents immigrated from Italy to the United States. I am not legitimately Italian, but I'm the first one that'll punch you right in the nose if you call me a
The $1 Million Man,
All
Ted
right.
DiBiase. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on December 12th.
You got it. And remember, everybody's got a price.
That's great.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
See you, fellas.
Thank you.
Hey, remember, Atso.
Take care, Ted.
That was nice, man.
That was great. Let me tell you, WWF North American Heavyweight Champion, 3-time WWF Tag Team Champion, one-time champion of the 24/7, and he was a King of the Ring in 1988. And I can't believe how old I'm getting because he said the last time he put in tights was 93.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, that
25
long ago?
years,
I felt like
24
it couldn't have been that long ago.
I guess so.
But you know what happened?
than
He was more a
28
manager,
years.
so he never really wrestled after that. He was more like a manager. You've seen him out there, but you just didn't see him wrestle. But his last time, let me tell you, he was a villain. He was a bad dude.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like in the early mid '80s, you know, when you heard Ted DiBiase, it was a blood match. He's a rough and tough and guy, and he was named
big
one of
dude.
the best technical wrestlers and greatest villains in pro wrestling history.
Calling in.
All right.
That's his son?
Yep.